Good afternoon, everybody. We're going to give some other folks just a few more minutes to join us here, but we'll get started in the next 2 or 3 minutes. All right, I think we'll go ahead and get started. So first of all, thank you all for joining us for our financial aid webinar this afternoon. Today, we're going to be talking about work study student employment here at Iowa State. So specifically, we're going to cover a handful of topics. If I can get my slides going here. There we go. So specifically an overview of what student employment looks like here on campus. Just generally speaking, some of our statistics, some of the benefits of working as a student. And then we will also dive deeper into work study specifically and what that means for work study eligible students. So to kick things off, we really here in the Student Employment Center like to shine a light on what student employment means for Iowa State University. It really is a high impact practice that keeps campus running. We truly could not operate as a campus without the hard work of our student employees. So some of the things we'll talk about today really show how we try to give back to the student employees to show our appreciation for all the work they do for us here. We did briefly want to share some pretty exciting statistics. So this is from our 23-24 academic year. A couple things to highlight on this big screen of numbers here. We had just shy of 9,000 student employees. Of those 8,700, I believe roughly 1,200 of them were work study students specifically. On average, our student employees here at Iowa State were earning $13.57 per hour. And actually something that people often don't consider is how many students are working more than one job. So that positions held number up in the top, about 14,000 student employment jobs were held. So that shows you just how many students were working in more than one position while they were here on campus. And then probably the most staggering statistic that we would share with you today is just how much our student employees have earned in wages. So almost $30 million in student employment wages were paid out just in that academic year alone. We certainly want to cover some misconceptions with you all today. So oftentimes in our office, we're hearing things from students and families almost discouraging them from working while they're enrolled in classes. But we really have a lot of statistics that show the benefits of working while you're in classes. We also hear quite a bit that students here on campus won't have time to go to work, or that it actually will negatively impact their classwork, or maybe the work experience they can get here on campus isn't relevant to what they want to do in their future careers. But even some surveys that we have done recently with student employees shows us that those things just aren't necessarily true. So like I said, in a recent survey, actually 75% of Iowa State students said that they were working as a way to help pay for college. That maybe is one of the most common things that we hear. We also heard from students that about half of them were working on campus, while half of them were choosing off-campus employment. So then we dig a little bit deeper into comparing those two types of employment opportunities. So if they were working on campus, they typically were telling us that it was because it was convenient. It was easy to get to and from work. In between classes, transportation wasn't a concern for them. So then if they were working off campus, they were primarily telling us it was because they could earn more, which we know is true. We know that we can't necessarily compete with higher wages that off-campus employers can provide. So that is one of the reasons that our office likes to promote what else can we offer the student. It isn't just about a paycheck. It really is a more important, bigger experience than just earning those wages that we all know students are signing up for. So one of our favorite things to do is promote the benefits. There's several that we kind of lean into heavily, and I'll kind of just point out a few here as I'm talking. Increased retention. So one of the things that you'll find is that students who choose to work while they're enrolled in classes are actually graduating at higher rates than those who are choosing not to work. We also see that students who are working are building up time management and other career readiness skills like collaboration, leadership skills, things that are encouraged by supervisors here on campus and are really truly more of a learning experience rather than just showing up for their job. The other benefit to being a student employee here on campus is that we lean heavily into recognizing the efforts of our students with a few different initiatives that happen in the spring here on campus. So we celebrate our students with something called Student Employee of the Year, where supervisors can nominate students for their outstanding efforts. And we also celebrate in April with something called National Student Employment Week, which is a week-long celebration dedicated to those students, providing them free prizes, free food, professional development workshops, all just for being a part of our working community here at Iowa State.
Yeah, so we're going to kind of go into that a little bit more. That's something, when we have a campus that has over, nearly 10,000 student employees, it's hard to imagine the campus operating without those student employees. So it really is important to take time to recognize their hard work and dedication. And so just taking that week, for National Student Employment Week, and then that award is really something we strive towards every year. We kind of focus on throughout the year, planning that. So that award, we open those nominations up to the supervisors. Usually we try to do that late in the fall before the break starts. So those supervisors nominate their student employees, and then those are given to us. We verify, and then those go to a committee board, and they are chosen based on 5 key categories. Those are community service, collaboration and teamwork, leadership, technology and innovation, and critical thinking. And the goal of this award is to recognize the hard work being done, and to kind of recognize them as leaders and innovators in their roles. And then the ceremony is in the spring, and we announce the winners at that time. So some of these students don't even know that they're nominated. They'll receive an invitation to the ceremony. It's a catered event. It's a pretty nice event. When they get there, they get a nice little award. And so then when they get this event, they'll get their award, and the students of distinction will get a scholarship, and then the overall winner will also get a scholarship. And then the winner is submitted to the National Student Employment Association, and they're eligible to compete at state, regional, and national recognition. But then we also award the student employee supervisor, because we also want to recognize one of supervisors to continue their dedication to supporting development of the student employees as well. And then the other one Taylor mentioned is our National Student Employment Week. That's that second full week of April. We partner with different agencies, both in the community and on campus. And we plan different activities all week long for this. These range from free food, prizes, workshops, games, and more. But we really kind of stepped this up here at the university. We do a theme for this event. Last year, this was under the sea theme. So we did goldfish crackers for this one, and for the invitation to the ceremony, we did like a sand pail with sunglasses, and we kind of just try to make it fun for the students. But we encourage the supervisors to promote this for the students, just so they take advantage of this, because this really is a celebration for them. And then for the workshops, we try to make these beneficial for them, trying to compete, like Taylor said, with those off-campus employers. We want to try to help develop them as professionals. And so we do these workshops, and we also try to, see if the supervisors, if it's an option to compensate them for their time to go to these workshops. But just make sure the students know that they can go to these events, win these prizes, get this free food. But we just want to make sure that they know that they're appreciated on campus and that we see the hard work that they're committing to the university.
Really quick before we dive into work study specifically, we want to just remind you that there is a Q&A feature within the webinar. So you should see a little speech bubble up at the top of your screen. So if you do have a question or any clarifying questions as we continue, please feel free to add there. And we do have a couple moderators that will interrupt us and let us know. So we will circle back to you if we don't answer you in due time. So.
And now we're going to kind of look into work study as part of student employment. Keep in mind, though, with the recognition events, at Iowa State, we recognize all of our student employees. So it's not just a work study recognition. Those awards, everything else, those are for all of our on-campus student employees. So we want to make sure that they're all being recognized there. But for work study student employment, it is a federal need-based financial aid program. It's funded by the federal grants and Iowa State grants as well. And then a little bit of a deeper definition is a federally funded financial aid program awarded to students, but it's based on financial need, and it's determined by the student's FAFSA. So that does need to be completed, and the student does need to demonstrate need. They need to be registered for at least 1 credit hour at ISU. They need to be a U.S. citizen, undergraduate, and in good academic standing. And then what that kind of looks like for the student, it appears on their award letter as a financial aid award. And then the amount that is shown on their letter is the amount they're eligible to earn. So it looks like an award. It looks like there's scholarships and grants, but that's the amount that they're eligible to earn, and it's not an amount that they're given. So it's a little bit different than scholarships and grants. So it looks a little bit different. It looks the same, but it's a little bit different on how it's earned. Students can credit their work study earnings as a financial aid award, so they could reduce their student contributions on future FAFSA. So it might open them up to future financial aid offerings. And then some student employment opportunities are work study only opportunities, and we'll kind of look at that in a little bit. So it could open them up to other opportunities for work that other students are not eligible to work. So these are some of those work study employment opportunities that are only available to the work study students. We have our undergraduate research assistantships, community service, and then America Reads, America Counts. So our undergrad research assistantships, these are for our juniors and seniors only. They have to have at least a 3.25 GPA. They have to have had their FAFSA, so that kind of falls into the work study criteria as well. But they do fill out a application for this, and they are paired with a mentor, and they kind of create this mentorship program. So it's really neat because they don't even have to be in the same field of study. So some of them are paired into a different field of study, but they get to work in these research programs, and it creates a really neat experience for them. And some of them get on these research projects, and it creates a networking and everything else. So it's a really neat opportunity that's only available to these work study students. But it's something that they do need to be work study eligible for and complete an application for. And our website does have a little bit more information about each of these and contact information for each of these programs as well. And then our community service program, this one is something that we offer. It is an on-campus and off-campus program. This one is one of the ones that have to benefit the community as a whole. So it's not one that's just for our campus. So we have on-campus partners. So it has to be something that's open and available to the public as a whole. So we have a couple different ones here on campus. We have a theater, the bowling alley, and then a few research-based programs, our vet med program, some of those that employ students that are work study eligible, and those are considered community service. And then we also have some nonprofit ones that are approved by our agencies or our office. And the student would be employed by the agency, but they are approved by us prior to. So these are ones that we look to verify that they're eligible to be a part of the program. They typically post on SciHire, which is our job board, and they indicate on that they hire work study only. So only work study students can see these postings. But these are our off-campus work study partners, and it creates a really good opportunity for networking and everything else. But these are positions that have to benefit the community as a whole. So it's a really great program there. And then our America Reads, America Counts is a math and reading program. That's a tutoring one. And they have schools around the university and community. And this is also a work study only program. And so this one you have to have a 2.0 GPA minimum. And this is another one that is an interview process as well, and orientation. But you get paired with another, school in the community and help with the reading and math skills. And this is another one that you would fill out a form and reach out to Taylor. She can definitely give you more information about that one specifically. And so these are some of just the frequently asked questions that we get, especially we noticed during orientation, a lot of these questions were some of the ones we get asked a lot. So we kind of put these in there. Will a student employee paycheck be applied to their U-bill? So at Iowa State, all paychecks, including work study earnings, are paid directly to the student twice a month. So work study, like we said, that amount that you're allowed to earn, that's still your paycheck. A lot of people see that split when they're looking at what work study earnings are. They see that 60-40%. That is a lot of what's happening on the back end. That's payroll. Students get 100% of what they earn. That's given to them, direct deposits. Nothing's applied to their bill here. So they put it towards their expenses, whether that be their personal expenses, their tuition, that's what they earn that goes directly to the students. We do not apply any earnings towards any bills here. And then our work study earnings taxable. Yes, so work study earnings are subject to federal and state income taxes. However, they are not subject to the FICA taxes. So those are your Social Security and Medicare taxes. So, with those excluded, and that's where it says that, on the student contributions and everything else, it could open you up for additional aid in the future on the FAFSAs. And then Taylor's going to go over the SciHire for the students then on the student job board.
Yep. So one of the last things that we'll cover here today is, after learning about all these employment opportunities, the benefits of why you should work, we hope that you do begin your job search for working here on campus. So we want to make sure you know where and how to do so. So here at Iowa State, we have a centralized posting service for our students called SciHire. So this is where our student job board posts all part-time employment here on campus, as well as some off-campus positions, not just the off-campus community service program positions that Vanessa mentioned, but off-campus employers can post their roles there as well. So kind of whatever you're looking for, it will be a one-stop shop. We actually also partner with our career services offices here on campus. So Sci-Hire will include opportunities to find internships and post-grad positions as well when it comes down to it. So it's a really good tool to start using your freshman year, and it will take you all the way through graduation. Some important things to note about using our system. So we know that local businesses and members of the community are posting positions, but they are vetted before those positions are approved. So you can rest assured that our office is kind of doing that legwork to make sure that it is a vetted and safe position. But we always ask you to do your due diligence upon applying and look out for any red flags before you move forward with those. A couple other things to note. Please check back often. So one question we get a lot is, when will new positions post? A student might be looking today and not see anything that they're excited about, but please know that new positions are posted daily. Sometimes every hour there's a new position that is popping up. So as soon as those are vetted and approved by our office, those are live and ready for students to view. So just check back early and often and really get to know what kind of position you're looking for, and that will help you prepare for when something does pop up. Let's see here. The last thing that I don't want to forget to mention, one of the coolest features about Sci-Hire is our customizable job search. So this is where you can start to play with the filters within our system to really narrow down the kind of position that you're looking for. It'll take a lot of the legwork out of trying to decide or filter through just a huge list. You can actually set up criteria. So I'll use an example of, if you only want to work within childcare, you can set up the childcare category or job function, as well as specific to on-campus employment. So that's going to filter and pull only the childcare positions through Iowa State University and show you everything that's available at that time. In addition to those filters, you can then set up email notifications for that filter. So that means either daily or weekly, you can be getting emails for those types of jobs you're looking for and kind of be ahead of the ball game and be one of the first students to apply. So I highly recommend starting to mess around with some of those features as you start your job search.
And keep in mind too that on-campus positions can use work study. So even if it doesn't specify work study for those on-campus locations, you can usually use your work study award at those locations. So you don't need to use a filter for that one either.
And here on the next few slides, we pulled a few examples, and I do apologize if they're small. You should hopefully be able to zoom. But we just wanted to point out a few of the things that we mentioned about Sci-Hire and show you what it will look like as you get logged in. So for all students who log in with their ISU credentials, you'll be taken to what we call a dashboard. So you can see here what it would look like for an example student. You'll actually see some announcements from both Career Services or the Student Employment Center. So a variety of things can live there as you get further into using this tool. But specific for the job board, you'll be able to see recommended job postings if you do start to play with those filters that I mentioned before. So off on that far right, you can see that this student had been recommended a handful of jobs just based on the criteria they had set, and they don't even have to go within the job board to see some of those newer positions. So it does make it really quick and user-friendly to jump in and see what is new at any given point. When you do want to get into the job board itself, when referring to part-time student employment, you're going to want to navigate to the far left of your screen where you'll see the Student Job Board tab. And if we click here to the next slide, we have a quick view of what this would look like. Again, I apologize that it may be a little smaller, but if you zoom in there, you'll see just a handful of positions that were in this screen grab. You can see in the column where it's highlighted in green, it's telling you whether or not the application for that specific position is open. And once you would click into one of those jobs is where you're going to start to see the job descriptions, the hiring and application requirements set by those employers, and all the directions necessary to move forward with applying for that position. As I'm saying this, I want to make sure to remind you or share with you that the Student Employment Center does not oversee the interviewing and hiring process for the positions posted on SciHire. So as I mentioned, all of those criteria for those jobs are going to be outlined, and you'll be given directions specific to that employer. So there will be contact information for the hiring manager for each job, as well as either a link to apply or directions on how to apply via SciHire. So we can certainly help answer questions about the posting or how to navigate SciHire as a tool. But when it comes down to applying for specific jobs, we'll want to defer to what directions live in those postings and what those employer contacts are set at. When I was talking briefly, I was talking about the customized job search feature. So I tried to screen grab just a few of the filters that I was referring to, but it is really pretty intuitive and user-friendly when you get in there. You'll kind of just notice at the top of the job board several bubbles where you can turn off and on those different criteria depending on the criteria that you are looking for personally. So whether it is you looking for a work study specific job, whether it's you're looking for on campus versus off campus, you can even look at just the positions that are within Ames or out of Ames, really just depending on what you're looking for, what your specific situation is as a student employee. This resource is awesome, but it is kind of up to you to start to customize it to meet your needs and help with your job search personally. That kind of brings us to our last slide. As I mentioned before, please be sure to toss any questions in our Q&A if you have them. We'd be happy to answer any of those that you have, or if you haven't gotten a chance to type one and you do have a question as we wrap up, please add it now or let us know and we will certainly do our best to answer. I'm not seeing any questions at the current moment, but and if you don't have questions today, we certainly encourage you to reach out to studentjobs@iastate.edu or visit our website where much of the information we shared today would be posted. And if you reach out to our office, we would be more than happy to chat with you and talk specifically about your situation or any of the things that we shared with you today. And with that, I think we'll start to wrap things up as I see some people jumping off, and I'm not seeing any Q&As. So thank you all for making time this afternoon. Have a great rest of your day.